welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, I'm going to be reviewing a somewhat new release. This came out a little over a week ago, but I ordered this ahead of time, and I had to put basically an entire day aside to watch this movie. It's an Oscar winner, a very recent Oscar winner, and it is a film from director Brady Corbet, starring Adrien Brody, and that is The Brutalist. Here it is right here. This is an epic film. I would say it's an epic film telling an intimate story. So it's a little different than a lot of these big epics from the past. But this movie definitely harkens back to filmmaking of a yesteryear, I should say. If you're new here, I just want to say welcome to the channel. I'm Andrew Kavanaugh. I review physical media releases, so Blu-rays, 4Ks, movies, TV shows, things like that. If you enjoy this kind of content, then definitely make sure to leave me a like and subscribe, because I got a lot of other videos. I try to do at least one video a week of new releases or just talking about physical media, movies, and stuff in some way, shape, or form. But The Brutalist here, like I mentioned, it is a newer film, and I always like to talk about the movie itself and my thoughts on the movie without getting into spoilers before I actually review the disc itself. And The Brutalist here, for those of you that do not know, The Brutalist is almost 3.5 hours long. It has a runtime of 215 minutes. And this movie, when it was in theaters, it had I think it was like a 15-minute intermission. It had an overture, and it's pretty intense. Some of that stuff has been cut down from what I can see on this disc, especially the intermission has been cut to I think it's like 30 seconds or something. So not a big deal. I kind of wish they left it alone, but at the same time, it is so you can watch the movie in a slightly faster rate, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the reasoning is for that. This was shot in VistaVision, and the 4K disc itself actually has an aspect ratio of 1:66:1. And what that means is when you're watching this film, there are actually black bars, as I like to say, or there's negative space on the left and right sides of the screen. It's not a lot, just a little bit. So the movie is taller than it is wide, which is, again, indicative of VistaVision and that film format. So it's a little bit of a different watch, but I love the cinematography of this movie. Adrien Brody definitely deserved the Oscar for Best Actor for this. He is incredible in this movie. He, yet again, just completely disappears into this character. But I gotta say, after watching this movie in one fell swoop and just kind of letting it wash over me for a day or two, I don't know what to make of this movie. I can't say it was an enjoyable watch. This is a brutal movie. That joke has probably been made a million times, but it is kind of a rough movie. There are some plot developments in it that are kind of surprising, and it's for me at least. I wish I could say otherwise. It was kind of a hard sit for me. You know, I love movies that are longer. Movies like Dr. Zhivago, movies like Lawrence of Arabia. There are many 3-hour plus films that have really captivated me over the years. This one, if it wasn't for the incredible performances and the cinematography, this would have been an extraordinarily hard movie to get through. But they did a great job directing it, and the story, to me, I thought was interesting, but I just couldn't get into it as much as I wanted to. Your opinion may differ. I mean, that's just my opinion. You know, in a few years, I may rewatch this and change my opinion of it. But on first watch, I thought it was a very good film, but maybe not one that I would revisit on a frequent basis. It's not a movie really to be enjoyed. It's almost like you're living life with Adrien Brody's character as the movie goes on, and it's tough. I mean, it's a tough watch at times. So anyway, that's my opinion on the movie itself. Now, as for the 4K disc here, I ordered this directly through A24. but you can get it in a couple different places now. I think they even sell it at Walmart, which is crazy. But it kind of slides out here. It's kind of like a digibook type thing, and this opens to some really beautiful imagery. It is just a one-disc set. It's just the 4K. There's no Blu-ray. There's no digital copy. There's no nothing. And on the inside here, there are some drawings that you actually can see in the film itself. So that, I think, is pretty cool. All the different buildings and stuff. So kind of cool packaging. Again, very, very simplistic. Now, as for the picture quality of this film, this is where we're going to get into some kind of interesting details here. So this is a 4K native transfer here, so it's not upscaled or anything like that. I mentioned the 1:66:1 aspect ratio. One thing to note about the transfer, it is denoted on the back here that the transfer is derived from the original 35mm negatives with VistaVision footage scanned at 6K. So it's actually a downscale from 6K, which is kind of interesting. The one big thing to note about the 4K disc here is that there is no HDR on this disc. And I don't know if that was an artistic choice or if that was a decision made by the filmmakers. I don't know. I'm hoping one of you guys out there can leave a comment in the description below if you know any more about this. I couldn't find any details of it. But there's no HDR. It's in standard dynamic range. So when you watch this film, you're seeing it in 4K, but without any of the HDR. In my opinion, the picture quality on this disc is really, really great looking. Most of this film has a very earth-like kind of tone to it. There's a lot of browns, a lot of greens, there's a lot of grays, very, very kind of cloudy skies at certain parts of this film. The outdoor sequences do look amazing, and the nighttime scenes are very, very dark. And everything kind of translates really well on this 4K disc. It definitely looks like VistaVision. I've seen, like, for instance, White Christmas is on 4K. I think that also has Dolby Vision. And that movie, again, looks incredible with the VistaVision format. But it had that HDR. And I almost wonder, and I usually don't talk about things that are not on the disc because, again, I'm here to review the disc itself, not what's not on it. But the disc itself, I think, could have used that HDR, honestly. The movie just kind of keeps the same tone all throughout, and there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe that was the uniformity that the filmmakers were intending for this disc. But I think this could have been a showcase disc with HDR. Anyway, besides all that, the black levels on this disc are pretty solid. They never reach some of the heights of maybe some HDR-assisted discs, but I think they look really good. Now, at the end of the film, there is a sequence that takes place in a dark area. Again, I'm not going to get into details here because it definitely would be a plot spoiler. But in that sequence, it is very hard to see what is going on. I think that was more of the purpose of the way that was shot. I don't think that's a black level issue with the disc because there are other, darker nighttime scenes where shadow detail is a little bit more apparent and, visuals are not as affected, I should say. So, for picture quality for this, I'd say it looks very, very good. Again, the cinematography of this movie is incredible. Detail level is fairly high. You can really see the film grain all throughout this picture. There is no real issues with, like, artifacts or anything like that. Although, I will say there were many times in this film where I noticed some, like, white dots. And I don't know if that was something that was put in or if it was actually the film stock itself. But the film grain is apparent throughout the film. It's not extremely heavy. I would say it's like a light to medium type film grain. And I love that. I love the fact that they didn't really do much to remove that. They knew what they were doing filming this with that VistaVision, and I think it's really, really great that they left that in. Very, very cool stuff. So picture quality, I'd say, pretty good. Again, impressive cinematography, but I think it really could have used HDR to make this a real wowing type of experience, unless they didn't want to go for that. I don't know. As for the audio, this does come with a DTS HD 5.1 master audio, and the DTS HD sounds really, really good. The score for the film sounded incredible. I would say even hypnotic at times when it's used. The dialogue is crystal clear. Every, voice in this film is perfectly placed. I'd say, there's really no issues at all with the audio. And for a newer film, I wouldn't really expect any. But the 5.1 was great. The, sound effects from certain scenes was placed really well. Voices echoing in certain moments. The way voices carry in certain rooms. There's like a dinner party scene where the character's voices carry differently in that room than in subsequent scenes. So very well done. Very, very well done for the sound. This movie is definitely not a film that I think warrants Dolby Atmos or DTS-X. It's a lot of talking in this film, and most of this film is just characters talking. And nothing wrong with that, but you really want to make sure the dialogue is clear in a type of film like that, and they did manage to do that on this disc. Now, as for special features, there is a full-length film commentary by director of photography Lowell Crawley, and it's really interesting to hear his insights and everything. And there's also a featurette called The Architects of the Brutalist, which is kind of a behind-the-scenes making-of little short featurette about the making of the film. So that's pretty much it for The Brutalist there. There's no other special features. It's just those two. And I'd say, for a 4K disc of a modern film, I like the look of it. I guess, again, that may be the move that they were trying to make with the no HDR thing. But I will say I was slightly disappointed. The film, again, it didn't look bad, but I think it could have looked better. And the lack of the HDR and everything, it's something about it just didn't do it for me. As, curated as the transfer seems to be, I just think they missed the mark by just a little bit. But if you want to pick up The Brutalist on 4K, I'll leave a link in the description below that leads to Amazon. If you use that link, it does help me out here a little bit on the channel. But as I mentioned earlier, if you really, really, really want to help the channel out, the best thing you can do is hit that subscribe button, like the video if you liked it. And if you picked up The Brutalist or you saw it in theaters, what were your thoughts on this film? Because this was definitely a perplexing movie to me. One last thing I want to mention, I recently opened a Buy Me a Coffee account. So if you would like to directly contribute to the channel, you can hit that little link down below to buy me a coffee or buy me a movie, whatever you want to call it, or you can scan that QR code you see on the screen now. That is a absolutely phenomenal way to give back here. I can't thank you enough. We've recently surpassed 6,500 subscribers, and that to me is just, it's kind of incredible. I would have never imagined this channel would have grown to this point. So I just want to say thank you all for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Thank you all for subscribing and liking and commenting and all those things. It really means a lot to me. I wish you all the very best. Please stay safe, keep collecting, and take it easy.